Okay, so this is going to be my immediate reaction to the Sony PlayStation State of Play and what we just witnessed because wow. And I say that for all of the wrong reasons here. Typically for these showcase videos, I like to go over all of the different highlights. We usually talk about some of the best games, and I'll still do a little bit of that today because there was some good stuff shown. But I want my main focus for this video to be about the state of PlayStation Studios because, honestly, it's sad by this point. Now, I told you all yesterday, temper your expectations as you go into this event. Every single time when Sony announces one of these state of plays, I see it online. People go crazy and their hype goes through the roof. But time in and time out, they don't deliver. Fans ultimately leave disappointed. Now, I'm not really disappointed because, honestly, it's what I was expecting. I'm not surprised by this state of mid because that's what it is. Here's my thing. We can point to various third-party reveals that were made here, and we can say that, oh yeah, those are interesting. 007 showed up. There was Metal Gear Solid Delta, Silent Hill F, Capcom finally reintroduced Pragmata, and there's even Neo 3. So again, there was some good stuff that we can look forward to. But my problem, and I think this is the main issue that a lot of fans have when it comes to these events, is that there is barely any presence from their own first-party studios. And that's what fans want to see when it comes to these first-party events. That's one of the main reasons that PlayStation fans bought into the PlayStation 5. They went out and paid $450, $500, or even $700 for the PlayStation 5 Pro. They like Sony's first-party games. And it's bizarre because they've been absolutely AWOL for the past few years now. I mean, thankfully, we got Astrobot last year. That was a fantastic game. But their pipeline is lacking, to say the least. Let me just put it this way. Whether it be Xbox, whether it be Nintendo, or PlayStation in this case, when one of those three drop a showcase, there is an expectation that we will see something new and exciting from some of their own internal studios. I mean, think about it this way. Would it not be weird if Ubisoft or, let's say, EA were to drop a showcase but not show any of their own developed games? And okay, I get it. They don't have their own platform, so, it's a little bit different. But regardless, when you have your logo slapped onto a showcase, you would think that they would have something to show. It's just frustrating by this point. I've said it before, and I'll just kind of say it again here. This new era PlayStation is just not the same PlayStation that I grew up with. The PS3 is legitimately one of my favorite consoles ever, and that was because of its first-party lineup. So if we rewind back to the PlayStation 3 or even the PlayStation 4, hands down, they had better first-party games. And better yet, they were also fairly consistent. I mean, maybe I could give the PS5 a pass a few years ago, but we're now closing in on its 5th year, which is crazy to think about considering their lack of production. And I chalk that up to two different things. One is Sony's shift to live service games. I mean, you can go back to videos that I made years ago about this topic. I said then, and I'll just say it again now, that their live service priority was a mistake. I was always fine with them making some live service games. Some is good. But they didn't just invest into some. Instead, they put most of their funding into that initiative. It was the majority of their budget. And now that they've canceled the majority of those games, this is kind of the repercussion for that decision. Seriously, Sony, I'm telling you, just come and hire me because I can fix your strategy and I can save you from these absolutely embarrassing showcases. I know what gamers want. And it just feels like their management, they don't. The other problem that they're running into, though, is this ridiculous, overly lengthy development time that we are seeing for modern AAA games. When you have studios like Naughty Dog, and they're taking 5 to 10 years to develop a game, I mean, you think about that. There's a chance that you're going to miss out on an entire generation of consoles. That's just too long. I mean, you have to realize that companies like Naughty Dog used to release 3+ games a generation. During the PS3 era, we got Uncharted 1, Uncharted 2, Uncharted 3, and The Last of Us. And then if you look at the PlayStation 5, we'll be lucky if we get even one, which is crazy to think about. It's also one of the reasons that we're currently seeing these overly bloated budgets for AAA games. The development is just too long, it's too costly, and honestly, it's too risky. It's not a good idea. It's not sustainable. And that's Sony's strategy right now. They have live service, and then they have go big or go home blockbusters, and not much of anything else. So when you combine all of these different things, this is the result of those decisions. A lackluster event and a lackluster pipeline of games. This might legitimately go down as the worst generation for PlayStation. Maybe not from a numbers standpoint. PlayStation 5 will continue to sell well. Thankfully for them, they have very little competition for the PlayStation 5. But from a first-party standpoint, from their own internal studios, this might be their worst generation. I don't know. It is what it is. It's definitely not the PlayStation that I grew up with, but this showcase was, in my opinion, a very poor showing for them. Now, with that said, they revealed one game that they're at least funding. Maybe it's not from one of their own internal studios, but they are funding a game. This might be their way to maybe fill the gap that their internal studios are currently leaving. Maybe just go out and hand a bag of money to some of these third-party studios and let them cook, which is what they did last year as well with games like Stellar Blade. So they're doing that again here with Arc System, which is legitimately one of the best fighting game studios the industry has to offer. They're behind games like Dragon Ball FighterZ, BlazBlue, and the Guilty Gear series, and now they're going to take on the Marvel franchise as well. For any fan of Marvel vs. Capcom, you're probably going to love what you see on screen here. It's actually 4 versus 4 tag team battles, and this game legitimately looks very good. It will launch next year on the PlayStation 5 and on PC. Again, Sony is funding it, so it will be a console exclusive for them, which I know some people will be disappointed by that. Marvel is a major franchise, and it's going to be skipping systems like Xbox and Nintendo. But who knows? Maybe eventually down the road, Sony will have a change of heart. Sony has been a little bit more open to the occasional multi-platform game, but yeah, Marvel vs. Capcom fans are living it up right now. I do have high expectations for this game, just given how good it looks, and also because it's an Arc System Works game. This really feels like a perfect combination on paper. Now, since we're talking about announcements that I was happy to see, let's go and get into some of these third-party highlights, which includes a Bloodstained sequel. Fans went crazy over the first game years ago. It was one of the most successful crowdfunded projects at the time, and the reason for that is because it's an Igavania. The creator of some of the old classic Castlevania games basically made a spiritual successor, and initially it had some problems upon launch, but after some updates, it really turned out to be one of the better Metroidvanias, and I'd say it probably still remains that way even all these years later. It's a very good game. So I'm excited to see them better implement the lessons that they learned on this sequel. It will drop sometime in 2026. So unfortunately, a bit of a wait. Now, speaking of 2026, though, Capcom finally reintroduced Pragmata. This is a completely new IP from them, which is nice to see. I like, seeing these new IPs in the market, though it is another AAA game that has taken far too long to develop, which can be concerning, just given that can be risky. But I mean, I do like its idea. It's a sci-fi action adventure, and there's this AI girl, companion type of person. I think that could set up for some interesting father-daughter-like story beats. But outside of that, there's still a lot of mystery around this game. Even still, we finally got a release window for 2026. They also give us a release date for Digimon Story Time Stranger. As some of you may know, I do have a soft spot for the Digimon series. I grew up as a Digimon fan, and this game specifically seems to have a lot more effort poured into it than what we typically see from the series. This could end up being among the best Digimon games if it actually meets expectations. So I'm really excited to play this one later this year when it releases on October 3rd. Yes, this is a 2025 game, and I'm very excited to play it. The rumor for Final Fantasy Tactics was also real. I mean, we kind of knew this from years ago. It leaked out as a part of the infamous NVIDIA leak, but it is now 100% official. One of the really cool things about this edition, though, is that it's going to come included with both versions. There will be a classic mode as well as an HD version that you can choose from. The recently released Luna Collection also did the same thing, and it's just kind of a nice nod for anybody who prefers that classic art style. For me, I'm going to play the HD version for no other reason than, well, if I wanted to play the classic, then I'd just play the classic. Anyways, though, it will be out on September 30th, which also, by the way, does have a collector's edition if that's something that you prefer. I believe it's $200, so it is expensive, but it does come with a pretty nice figurine, as you can see here. Ninja Gaiden Ragebound also got its release date for July 31st, so this one's right around the corner, and I think this is actually quietly one of the most exciting games planned for 2025, or at least that we know of so far. We will hear about a lot more games in the coming week, but I think this one looks exceptional, and they did mention that it's meant to be a challenging game. Of course, that's a staple for the series, but kind of knowing how modern developers treat their games, they do kind of like to ease them up anymore. I think it's refreshing to hear that that challenging component is still a focus for them. Then the last highlight that I want to talk about is 007 First Light. We got its first official reveal. It was mostly cinematic, but it is a 2026 title, and I think one of the most interesting things about this specific trailer is that it reveals it's a third-person game. 007 typically has been a first-person series. It's really a series that helped revolutionize the genre for consoles, so it is interesting to see that they're shifting it over to a third-person game. Now, personally, even though I would have liked to have seen first-person, I'm really not against this move. They showcase some stealth elements, which I really like. And honestly, I'm just happy that we're getting a brand new 007 game. IOI is a great studio. They worked on Hitman, and they did a fantastic job with that series. And 007 really was one of my favorite gaming franchises as a kid. I used to love the GameCube games, especially Nightfire. That's my personal favorite. And I'm really curious to see IOI's take on just such a beloved franchise like this when we get to play it, I guess, in 2026. So there you go. Those were my highlights. Make sure to tell me about some of yours in the comments below. But overall, I thought this was another disappointing PlayStation event given the circumstances. It would have been fine for a third-party showcase like the Summer Game Fest, but that's not what this is. So I hate to do it, but I'm going to give PlayStation a D-, which is actually one of my lowest grades on the channel. Yes, there were a few cool games here, but it's just not why I watch PlayStation events. So there it is. Just my opinion. Maybe you agree with me. Maybe you don't. Either way, let me know in the comments below. Anyways, that's going to be it for this episode, but until next time, make sure to subscribe, ring that bell, and peace out.